Hey, my fellow Americans, good to see you this morning. What do you say? It is Friday. Here we go. Friday, March 7. So great to see you today, and welcome to the Bill Press Show as we come to you live all across this great land of ours on Free Speech TV. Good to see you, and remember, you can join the conversation anytime with all the news we were talking about by just giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and befriend us and send us your comments on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. President Obama stepping into the briefing room yesterday at the White House. I was there. He wanted to talk, give us an update on the Ukraine, saying that he had just that morning signed yesterday morning an executive order putting tough economic sanctions and travel restrictions on anybody in the Ukraine who is partly responsible for the violence there and the Russian invasion of Crimea. The president also called on Congress to pass a new aid package for the Ukraine, which Congress did later in the day. Meanwhile, Congressman Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, is in a lot of hot water, proving that he is the obnoxious a-hole everybody says he is, by suddenly calling a hearing ending a hearing 2 days ago, refusing to let the ranking Democrat Elijah Cummings speak. And when Congressman Cummings demanded a right to speak, he cut off his microphone and stormed out of the room. The Congressional Black Caucus is demanding that Issa be fired as chair of the House Oversight Committee. And CPAC is underway in Washington. And yesterday we had the first bunch of clowns led by Donald Trump. We'll tell you all about it. Take your calls and your comments right here on the Friday edition of The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Poor you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach
likes
your
you.
kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we have pep talkers standing by to get you motivated for your GED diploma. Text the name Terry to 69222 for a sympathetic pep talk.
You show people what you really are.
Or for a gentle pep talk, text the name Deborah.
You know you're going to make people very proud of you.
And if that's not enough, text the name Danny for an extreme pep talk.
Prove everyone wrong. Show them you're the boss.
Get your GED pep talk and find free GED classes. Text the name of the person you want a pep talk from to 69222.
Did you see the world differently? Did you celebrate the victory?
So today, I state clearly and with conviction America's commitment to seek the peace and security of a world without nuclear weapons.
Did you stand up against our greatest threat? Change the world.
is the Bill Press Show.
CPAC is in town. Bring on the clowns. Starting with Donald Trump. Can you believe they invited him to speak? The Republican Party has no shame. Hey, what do you say? Hello, everybody. It is a Friday. Whoa. Friday, March 7th. We get there again on our favorite day of the week around the Bill Press Show. Hallelujah, hallelujah, Friday. Any Friday will do. Any Friday's a good Friday here at the Bill Press Show. Good to see you this morning, and thanks for climbing on board the Bill Press Express as we head out across this great land of ours. Coast to coast, every little town and village and big city of America. We are there with you on your local progressive talk radio station, and we are there with you, of course, on Free Speech TV. And you can find us. You got the satellite dish. You know how to do it. Direct TV or the Dish Network. Good to see you this Friday morning as we bring you up to date on a lot of news today. Yesterday, President Obama walked into the White House briefing room, surprising all of us, coming in to make a statement about the Ukraine. On the Hill yesterday, Congress actually voted, did something together for a change, actually got something done, voted for a new aid package for Ukraine. And CPAC hit Washington, D.C. with a lineup of speakers yesterday that included, oh my God, Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell, Bobby Jindal, Chris Christie, Donald Trump. Who did I miss? I mentioned Ted Cruz. I mean, it's seriously, the bunch of clowns, and they all came in one car. Yeah, it was the clown car. They all came in. Yeah, we'll tell you all about it here this morning with our team, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy. Good Friday morning.
Good morning.
How about it? Oh, yes. And, of course, the biggest item of the day is that later this morning we have the big Friday guacamole cook-off. Yes.
We're doing our part to raise awareness
that climate change could ruin and end the guacamole being available at Chipotle or your other favorite Mexican restaurant.
That's right.
So we're going to keep guacamole alive with our guacamole cook-off and our third hour together this morning. So.
And we're bringing in a special celebrity judge.
A special celebrity judge. Yes, celebrity judge. So the chefs, right, shall we say, right? Sure. The three chefs are Peter Ogburn.
Yep.
And Lisa Murphy.
Yes.
And Carol Press, who wins.
Yes. let's get one thing straight.
All right. But our the celebrity chef who will do the tasting and decide the blind tasting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Igor Volsky.
That's right.
Yes.
We'll bring him in on a Friday.
Right. Bring Igor in on a Friday.
You know, Igor is always with us on Tuesdays, and he always complains and bitches that, oh, you guys never have me on a Friday when you do fun stuff like alcohol tastings or food.
Yeah,
so
right.
we're bringing him in.
So when he heard we were doing the guacamole thing, he begged to come in today.
If he's smart, he'll bring the beer.
And what I want to know is, what does a Russian know about guacamole? Anyway, I mean, Jesus, couldn't we? Wasn't Marco Rubio available?
This is how I'm going to win over the judge, is I made my guacamole with beets. Russian guacamole.
I want to be sure to say hello also to Alicia Cruz, who is here too. Now, Alicia Cruz should be the
sure.
Yeah.
She's backbone in it.
She's going to be one of the judges today. She'll be weighing in.
and Cyprian Bolding here as well, our videographer. He made it this morning.
The cops may still be looking for him.
Actually,
You know, Cyprian is one of the more reliable members of the team. So when he screws up,
he's in handcuffs.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
The joystick still works though, so we're okay.
Now he's mad. Now he's left.
Speaking of food, by the way, if today is the guacamole day, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the buffalo wing, chicken wings, which were hatched at the Anchor Bar in Buffalo, New York, where Peter and I have both been. and we celebrated with, I remember, I'll never forget, 3 different trays of 3 different kinds of buffalo wings. Remember?
Wow.
Yeah.
And they had the regular wings, and then the mild wings, and then the hot wings, as I recall. I just remember that one tray that, man, they were super hot.
They were very hot.
Yeah.
Delicious, though.
Absolutely. So Mark Dempsey from the Anchor Bar tells us how important the chicken wing has become to American cuisine.
The buffalo chicken wing has established itself as America's cuisine. I think it's even more embedded now in American cuisine than the hamburger or pizza.
Wow, how about that?
Wow.
Really? I'm not sure about that. But still, they served 23 billion chicken wings last year.
Man.
That was cute, though. I like it.
I feel badly because I don't remember having one. So
Really?
I didn't do my share.
You know, if you think about it.
I know I had a few, maybe, but just if I see them at parties, I mean, I never
But like,
fix them.
there are so many restaurants now that serve like their version of chicken wings. You know,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. It could be any kind of cuisine. You know, will serve some form of chicken wing.
Right.
And so I get why it's out there.
There it is. Anyhow, that's just one of the topics we're going to cover this morning. We've got a lot going on. We'll be talking with reporters from the Daily Beast, and communication director for Emily's List will be in studio as well. And then again, Igor coming in for the big guacamole tasting in our 3rd hour this morning. And Darrell Issa proves why he is the most unpopular member of Congress. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Bill, we talk about your love of playing the lottery. Here's something you may not have thought about. Emma Duvall is 75 years old. She lives in the Bronx, and she just won $2 million out of the lottery because she played the numbers that were on her fortune cookie fortune.
What?
You know how when you get a fortune cookie, it'll have lucky numbers, and then it'll give you your numbers. She played those numbers, and she won $2 million.
I don't remember numbers on a fortune cookie. Do they really?
One side, I guess they're all different, but like on one side there's your fortune, and the other side will say your numbers.
But are they in Chinese numbers?
No. No, that would really be something if she had won using Chinese numbers. But she used the lucky numbers.
I might try that next time.
Give it a shot. Order Chinese just for that.
Yeah.
Shout out to San Francisco. They are going to become the first major city to ban the sale of plastic water bottles on public property. Now, this is something that they've been working on for a long time. The idea here is that it's 21 ounces and under are going to be banned. The American Beverage Association opposed these restrictions because a lot of money is made on plastic bottles. But they're saying above 21 ounces is okay. It makes sense for you to
those
carry
big bottles,
like a big thing.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
But
to
the little things that they really soak you for.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're getting rid of those.
Wow. Good for San
Francisco.
Francisco.
San Francisco leading the way.
My city.
And for a long time, Getty Images has made money off of selling their rights to their photo library, but that is no more. They are opening up their photo library for free. 35 million photographs are now able to be used without paying any kind of subscription fee. You can embed them in your reporting and tweets and in your stories. The idea here is that they're saying that people were using them anyway and not crediting Getty, but this way, if they use the embed function, they have no other choice but to actually credit Getty Images. So those will be free.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Peter. You know, Darrell Issa, you've heard me talk about him before. He really is, and by every survey that reporters have taken, the most loathed, the most hated, the least respected member of Congress. And it's because he's a total a-hole. He's a just total obnoxious jerk. I mean, I know him well because being chair of the California Democratic Party, I was around when he was elected. You know, he's a car alarm mogul, right? He very successful businessman, came up with a car alarm company, made millions and millions of dollars. There are all kinds of questions about some of his business practices, some little legal problems he got in there. So there were charges of arson at one point, never proven. I mean, so at any rate, but he got elected to Congress. And then he was made chair of the House Oversight Committee when Republicans took over in 2010. And he turned that committee, which, by the way, was the most powerful, the most effective, the most impressive committee of the Congress under Henry Waxman. And I mean, Henry Waxman, remember, he's the one who brought the tobacco CEOs in. And they all lied under oath. I'll never forget that day when they all are standing there with their hand up in the air, swearing to tell the truth, the whole truth. And they came on and said they had no idea that nicotine was a problem, right? No idea that cigarettes might have anything to do with cancer. And Waxman just proves that they had all this research all that time. He took on the prescription drug companies. He was the first one to really take on the whole question about AIDS and really push for a new research into how to deal with that horrible disease. I mean, so he went. I mean, there breakthrough investigations under Henry Waxman, and many things achieved under that committee. I wrote a whole column about it that really bettered the life of every single American thanks to his work on that committee. Darrell Issa has turned that committee. Try to think of one thing that they have done over the last 4 years. Nothing. Not one accomplishment. He has turned that committee, which is sad, because you would think even the Republicans would use it to good advantage. But Darrell Issa has not. He's a bad choice. He's turned the committee into a kangaroo court. They just have sham hearing after sham hearing. He's had probably 15 hearings on Benghazi and maybe 35 on the IRS. And so these are hearings that are not intended to advance any legislation or shed any new light or bring any new information in front of the Congress. They're simply hearings. He uses them to try to embarrass Barack Obama. He had yet another hearing yesterday on the IRS. He called back, 6 months ago or so, that Lois Lerner, the woman who was in charge of the IRS office, where allegedly they were just targeting Republican conservative groups, which proved to be not the case, by the way. It's already established, not the case. There were lots of liberal organizations that were also, whose tax application for a tax-exempt status was investigated. But anyway, she was a woman in charge. She took the fifth about 6 months ago. He brought her back yesterday. He knew ahead of time. It's been established. Her attorney told him she would take the fifth again. Nonetheless, he brings her back. He asks her a few questions. She takes the fifth, of course, and he immediately adjourns the hearing without letting the ranking Democrat, Congressman Elijah Cummings from Maryland, say anything. Elijah Cummings speaks up right away.
Mr. Chairman, you cannot run a committee like this. You just cannot do this. We're better than that as a country. We're better than that as a committee.
And then, the congressman, he had already stood up to walk out. He sits down, turns the mic back on, and then you'll hear him shut it off in the middle of Congressman Cummings, the ranking Democrat, trying to make a point.
For the past year, the central Republican accusation in this investigation, we're adjourned, close it down.
Wow.
We're adjourned, close it down. We have never seen that kind of boorish behavior since Senator Joe McCarthy back in the 50s. I mean, this is outrageous. Again, this is a committee of all these members of Congress, all of whom are elected, right? And this is the ranking Democrat, Elijah Cummings, right, who's a real gentleman, by the way. And Issa cuts off his microphone and then storms out of the hearing. Cummings doesn't give up. By the way, Cummings has the voice of God.
He really does.
No, he's been on the show several times. I love him. He's got the voice of God. You know what? He doesn't need a microphone, and he goes on without one.
He continued this theme on Sunday. If you will sit down and allow me to ask the question, I am a member of the Congress of the United States of America. I am tired of this.
Well,
we have members over here, each who represent 700,000 people. You cannot just have a one-sided investigation. There is absolutely something wrong with that, and it is absolutely un-American.
Whoa. I got to tell you, good for Elijah Cummings.
That's the way to handle it, man.
Good for Elijah Cummings. He refused to take it, and Darrell Issa just stormed out of the hearing. And then Issa not only defended his actions because he said the hearing was over, Issa demanded that Cummings apologize to him. And he's the one that cut off his microphone.
Wow.
And for 2 days, Issa went out, the day he did it, and then all day yesterday, all over Fox News, saying Cummings was wrong, the hearing was over, there was nothing to be gained, he was just showboating. Finally, late yesterday, somebody I think finally got to Issa, and he sort of, kind of apologized. Too late, man. I think the Congressional Black Caucus is right. They passed a resolution yesterday saying Darrell Issa should be stripped of his chairmanship. You know what for? Not because of his politics. Stripped of his chairmanship because of his lack of civility and his lack of respect for another member of Congress. I mean, there is such a thing over there as congressional respect, and you see it in the Senate, even between members, especially between members of different parties or members of the same party. You used to see it in the House as well. Darrell Issa does not belong there. He certainly does not belong in charge of a committee. Let's talk about it. 866-55-PRESS. And you name me one thing, one positive accomplishment of the House Oversight Committee, one way that they've improved the lives of Americans under Darrell Issa. I defy you to name one thing.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek,
Newtown.
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act. Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money Personal Payment Service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go at 26 minutes after the hour. It just turned 27. Talking about Darrell Issa. Just rude, obnoxious, boorish behavior. An embarrassment to all members of the House. I mean, John Boehner, seriously, should give him an official reprimand and I think strip him of his chairmanship. For one thing, because he's doing no good with that committee. I mean, I don't care. I wish Democrats were in charge. They're not. Republicans who are in charge. But at least they ought to have the welfare of the American people in mind. And you don't do any good by having 20 hearings on Benghazi and 25 on the IRS. Ike, here's our buddy Ike down in Charleston, South Carolina. Hello, Ike. What's going on?
Greetings, Mr. Press and Mr. Rugburn and crew down there.
Yeah,
How y'all doing? This is just a good example of the type of Republicans that I live around and I deal with all the time.
Ooh.
You know, when you get into the discussion with them and you start bringing facts to the table that are absolute facts, like Ronald Reagan tripled our national debt, and basically George Bush did nothing when Russia invaded Georgia.
Right.
Or anything like that. They get so mad and they act so immature, and if they don't threaten to whoop my butt, they just want to scream and yell and kick and cry like little girls. I'm so sick of these Republicans, and then they've got the audacity to sit there and say, well, the president won't cooperate with us, and he won't do this. Why don't y'all just take a flying leap off a long, tall cliff?
You got it, Ike. Well said. And the first one off the cliff, I would hope, would be Darrell Issa. More calls coming up. 866
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply. We were talking about the disgrace in the United States House of Representatives a couple of days ago when Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, rudely, not only interrupts but cuts the microphone off the ranking Democratic member, right? So you know how that works. No matter how big the committee is, there's always a chair of the party in power, and the top member of the other party out of power, the minority party, is the ranking member, and they're considered almost co-chairs of most committees. I mean, and certainly the ranking member, as well as the chair, is always treated with respect, and there's a common courtesy. Every person gets 5 minutes to ask their questions in order. We've seen this on television, and it's always very polite, very gentlemanly, if you will. They always say, would the gentleman from South Carolina entertain a question? All this kind of stuff. But I mean, they treat each other with respect. Not Darrell Issa. Cut off Elijah Cummings' microphone, wouldn't let him speak, stormed out of the room, and then demanded, after he was acting like an a-hole, demanded that Elijah Cummings apologize. We're asking you what you think about it. 866-55-PRESS. I think he ought to lose his chairmanship just again for violating the rules of common congressional courtesy. Peter?
We're on Twitter at BP Show, Make sure you follow us there. One of our favorite tweeters this time of day, NC Nomad, says we've got Michelle Bachmann on the Intelligence Committee, Daryl Issa on Ethics. Our government is a joke. Raising one eyebrow says Daryl Issa fancies himself as a cop on Twitter. He refers to himself as the top cop. He says he's more like a corrupt Keystone cop.
But Henry Waxman was the top cop. That's the point. That's what that committee is supposed to be. And Henry Waxman was, after people who were preying on working class Americans, like the tobacco people and like the pharmaceutical people and like the big oil companies. Yep. They're the ones that Henry Waxman took on, right? I mean, Daryl Issa thinks that this is the arm of the Republican National Committee, and their job is to just embarrass Obama.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Yeah, if you have a comment, leave it for us on Twitter at BP Show and follow us there.
Indeed. Melvin, out in South Bend, Indiana. Melvin, good morning.
Well, good morning, Bill on Capitol Hill.
Yeah, I love it.
All right,
Capitol Bill. Right.
I have to say that Daryl has accomplished the continued racism and hatred for the current administration and for the Democratic Party. It's not his first time of turning off a mic. This guy is the epitome of ignorance. But John Boehner, who always wants the president to get rid of somebody,
right? Yeah,
has done nothing.
Done nothing. No. In fact, Boehner yesterday was asked about it, and he basically said, boys will be boys, right? He didn't do anything. Did nothing.
Yeah, as long as they're the good old boys.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No, what Boehner ought to say is, listen, I appointed you. I expected you to do the job. I also expected you to handle the job with some dignity and some civility, and you have embarrassed us all. You're out of a job. Yeah. Come on. Boehner would show, Melvin, I agree with you. Boehner would show a little spine, a little backbone here. Of course, he never has, so don't expect him to in this case either. But I got to tell you, I think Issa, he gave the entire Congress a black eye yesterday, especially the Republican leadership, and they ought to get rid of him. Larry in Pulaski, Pennsylvania. Hi, Larry.
Oh, how you doing, Bill?
All right, good.
What he wants to do is run that like Fox News. These are the facts. Just like Fox News, that's what they want.
I know, and right away, of course, even that afternoon, he was on Fox News, and Fox News was praising him, right, for showing real leadership, and he went 2 days still defending his actions, trashing Congressman Elijah Cummings, and demanding that Cummings apologize.
Great.
That's crazy. I'm going to call you a name, and I want you to apologize to me.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely crazy. Hey, Larry, good to hear from you. Thanks for getting up early for us this morning. So we'll see what happens with Daryl Issa. I don't expect John Boehner to do anything because, again, John Boehner hasn't shown that he has a set of balls to take on the Tea Party. Why is he going to take on Daryl Issa? But here's the thing. I'd even say, Ted Cruz and the Tea Party are more constructive than Daryl Issa. I mean, they've brought something to the table. They brought some ideas to the table, which I don't happen to agree with. Daryl Issa has brought nothing to the table except the most boorish behavior we've seen, again, from any member of Congress since the days of Joe McCarthy. One more call here before we move on. Quinn is calling from out in Chicago. Hello, Quinn. Good morning.
Hey, how are you?
All right. Good.
I think if you look at Wikipedia, I think I'll put it as a question. Wasn't Issa an old car thief? There were several incidents where he was caught with other people's cars back when he was younger, and he managed to squirm out of it each time. But he was, if you look at Wikipedia, you'll see that. So he's basically just...
If you,
I don't know what you.
Well, Quinn, I didn't want to go into that. I said earlier they're just questions about some illegal activity early in his career. I've read that. I've read those accounts. I actually do not know what the truth is. He managed. You're right. He managed to squeeze out of them whatever they were, and he got elected to Congress. So I've just been looking at his actions as a member of Congress and his actions chair of the committee. But there are some real questions. There's a real cloud over Darrell Iss's early business career, and everybody can check that out and make your own come to your own conclusions on Google and on Wikipedia if you want. Yeah, indeed. You know, the other thing I've got to mention, and we don't have time to really get into it here because we're going to talk to Susan Page from USA Today in our next segment. But I am very excited about something, and that I've heard rumors of for a little bit. Our good friend John Nichols from The Nation was the first one when he was the last time in studio to tell us, hey, you ought to keep your eye on this. Well, Bernie Sanders, my favorite United States senator, and I think he is for much of you as well, many of you as well. Bernie Sanders is seriously thinking, he's finally admitted it to The Nation magazine in an interview, comes out today. He has finally admitted that he is seriously thinking about running for president in 2016. He's not sure whether he would run as a Democrat or he would run as an independent, but he is having some conversations about it. He believes that somebody's got to be out there as a real progressive and a real liberal, and somebody who will really stand up and fight for the middle class and fight to save Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, fight for jobs, fight for the right priorities. And there's nobody better on those issues than Bernie Sanders. It's just flat out fact. And there's nobody more fearless than Bernie Sanders. I mean, he tells The Nation here, he says, I am prepared to run for president of the United States. I don't believe that I am the only person out there who can fight this fight, but I am certainly prepared to look seriously at that race. You know, I say, go, Bernie, go. And I don't care who it is. If it's Hillary, if it's Joe Biden, if it's Martin O'Malley, I don't care, Andrew Cuomo, whoever else is up on the stage with Bernie, Bernie wins every debate.
Yeah. And if nothing else, he makes them stronger candidates.
He livens it up. He keeps the focus on the right issues. And Bernie's got nothing to lose. He's not up for re-election.
You want to know what progressives in this country are thinking?
Bernie
Talk to
Sanders.
Bernie.
Talk to Bernie, yeah. And we'll have Bernie on the show here again soon. He's been on many times. And tell us all about it. Look forward to that and look forward to talking to Susan Page about the news of the week coming up next.
This is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Racing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
13 minutes before the top of the hour on this Friday morning, Friday, March 7. If it's Friday, it must be Susan Page. We heard somebody rustling around there, getting up, making a little noise. And figured it's Susan Page time here on the Bill Press Show. She is the Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today, joining us on our newsline this morning. Hey, Susan, how are you?
Hey, good morning, Bill.
I was in the briefing room yesterday when the president came in to update us on Ukraine. How is this playing? He doesn't have a lot of options, does he?
You know, it's really underscored how few options the United States has in dealing with this. He announced some economic sanctions that were awfully limited because we just don't have a lot of leverage there.
Yeah, I mean, we're not the number one trading partner of Russia by far, you know, and they don't depend on our oil or gas, right? So.
And yet we watch the situation there with some alarm because it looks like the Cold War is starting again.
Yeah. Here's what struck me as strange is that the president said, so we have these sanctions and travel restrictions against anybody who was part of this effort to undermine, Ukraine and to invade Crimea. But they wouldn't say that Vladimir Putin would be covered by those restrictions. They just said, we have the authority to go after people, but we're not naming anybody. I didn't know why they just didn't say, damn right, Putin's at the top of the list, right?
You know what struck me? Did you see that anchor for Russia today now called, I guess, RT, who resigned on the air because of Russia's mischaracterization of what was going on there?
So, Susan, maybe President Obama could learn some lessons about tough leadership from a man who was president 50 years ago. You just had a conversation, for a little background, you had a conversation with Joseph Califano, who was the President Johnson's domestic policy advisor, right?
He was.
Yeah.
Yes, in his early 30s at that time, 50 years ago. He's now 82. He was at the center of the action at the LBJ White House, and there was a lot of action at the LBJ White House. And he talked a little about the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That's coming up in just a couple weeks. There's a big event down in Austin for that President Obama is going to go keynote. And he also talked about his views on how Johnson was able to get things done and why President Obama has had so much trouble doing that.
How is Califano, by the way? How's his health?
He's great. He was down here for meetings. He's still working on anti-smoking issues. So he was doing terrific, and it's great to talk to him because he's got a first-hand window into a piece of history and a kind of an aspect of Lyndon Johnson that I think has gotten overshadowed by the legacy of the Vietnam War.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now some of that coming back. A show on Broadway opened last night with Bryan Cranston about this year, 50 years ago, when Lyndon Johnson was both pushing the Civil Rights Act and also positioning himself to run for election.
Now, I want you to know that I saw that show last Friday night in New York.
How was it?
In previews. Fantastic. I loved it. And first thing I did this morning was grab my New York Times to read the review, and I got a very good review. Bryan Cranston, of course, from Breaking Bad, plays Lyndon Johnson. And I'll tell you, if anybody has Lyndon Johnson down, Bryan Cranston, he's phenomenal. And And the play, it's a little too long, I think, but as a history lesson, number one, and also as a lesson in leadership and how LBJ, and by the way, I think one of the best political books I've ever read is The Triumph and Tragedy of Lyndon Johnson by Joseph Califano. And then if you add that to that, the Robert Caro books on Lyndon Johnson. I mean, you're right. I wrote a column a couple of weeks ago about this. It's time to take a second look at Lyndon Johnson.
Let me just mention a third book, which is Flawed Giant, which is a biography of Johnson, two volumes by Robert Dallek. What do all these have in Flawed Giant, Triumph and the Tragedy? It's the two sides of Lyndon Johnson. Califano made the point that we live in Lyndon Johnson's world because of the legacy of all the domestic legislation he passed, and yet also remembered for the tragedy in Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, and I pulled out Califano's book when I was doing my column, and just because I remember he's got the list of all the legislative accomplishments, and it's just everybody lives better today because of the work of Lyndon Johnson. And then sadly there was this Vietnam. But I have to tell you and Carl, you've got to go to New York and see this play.
We have tickets in 2 weeks.
Do you really?
We have bought tickets. We're going to be there. I mean, it is the only the kind of thing that perhaps people in Washington would buy tickets for in preview, right, and go and see, because really 3 hours of Lyndon Johnson on stage might not sound that enticing to some Americans, but we have our tickets in hand.
I look forward to the part where Bryan Cranston as LBJ says, "I am the one who knocks."
But and I'll tell you, his treatment of Hubert Humphrey, I mean, it's all historically accurate, but and with J. Edgar Hoover, and then his interface with Martin Luther King, and the little the tension inside the African American community over how to approach Lyndon Johnson and how to treat him, and whether to give him a hard time or not, and it's just fascinating stuff. It's really good stuff.
And I'll tell you one thing I said to Joseph Califano. The White House says that they face an unprecedented obstructionism from congressional Republicans, and that's why it's so hard to get anything done. And he said, we faced unprecedented obstructionism from Southern Democrats who controlled the Congress, and he argued that if President Obama was more effective in dealing with Congress, he would be able to get more things done.
He says, I don't have the exact quote, but Richard Russell, Senator Richard Russell, right, from Georgia, right?
Yes.
Is, of course, part of this play. And at one point, Johnson says to him, "Dick, I love you more than I love my own daddy. But you get my way, and I'll crush you."
Now, I asked Califano what Johnson would have thought about this play, and he said he would have loved the idea that they were doing a play about him, but he would have come back and tried to correct every single thing. He would have wanted to direct every line. He'd want to cast every part.
I think you're right about that. All right. Well, you will love it. I'm telling you. You and Carl especially, as I did in preview. Susan Page, great to talk to you as always. Thanks,
Susan.
Hey, thanks, Bill. All right. She's the best. Washington Bureau Chief of USA Today.
This is the Bill Press Show.
For more than 18 months, the members of AFSCME 3299 have been working to secure a new contract with the University of California. With workplace injuries at UC skyrocketing and government fines related to safety deficiencies at UC hospitals skyrocketing, Local 3299's top priority has been safe staffing at the workplace.
We've been short of people for the last 5 years.
They're stretching us thin, which the students are suffering, the faculty suffering, and the patients are suffering.
While UC administrators have granted these standards to other UC workers, they have refused to make similar accommodations for AFSCME represented workers who perform the most physically demanding labor at UC.
It takes a whole team to take care of the patient. It's not just the RN and it's not just the doctor. The nurses were able to win a great contract, and AFSCME workers, the patient care workers and service workers, they're part of the team and they deserve that same fair contract too.
We take pride into working for the university, and we feel like the university doesn't value the work that we do.
But the second-class treatment of AFSCME workers doesn't end at safety and staffing. On wages, benefits, and other issues, UC refuses to offer AFSCME 3299 members the same respect they afford their other workers.
I have 3 jobs because what the university pays me is just not enough to make a living for my family and myself.
99% of service workers in the UC system make so little money that they're eligible for at least some form of public assistance. At the same time, the number of executives in the UC system that have crossed over into making at least $250,000 a year has more than doubled since 2008.
The University of California has long been a beacon of hope and progress for those struggling for dignity and fairness. With such a proud history, it is disturbing to see the leadership of the university treat its lowest paid workers like second-class citizens.
All workers at the university deserve equal treatment.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, we're going to talk Ukraine, and then we'll talk Wendy Davis with Jess McIntosh from Emily's List. Peter.
Thou shalt not steal unless, of course, you are the Pope. Pope Francis said in an interview yesterday that when his confessor died, when the Pope was a younger man, before he was the Pope, he went to his funeral service, said no one had put any flowers at this man's casket. And so the Pope looked in, he put some flowers in, and he saw that he was holding onto his rosary, and the Pope took it. He said, I wanted it, and I took it.
Out of his dead hands?
Out of his cold dead hands. He took his rosary.
No.
And he still carries it with him today.
Really?
Every time he thinks something, he puts his hand on it and remembers.
Oh, well, you know, God loves a thief when he's the Pope.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Okay, so you wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Hey, my fellow Americans, good to see you this morning. What do you say? It is Friday. Here we go. Friday, March 7. So great to see you today, and welcome to the Bill Press Show as we come to you live all across this great land of ours on Free Speech TV. Good to see you, and remember, you can join the conversation anytime with all the news we were talking about by just giving us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show, and befriend us and send us your comments on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. President Obama stepping into the briefing room yesterday at the White House. I was there. He wanted to talk, give us an update on the Ukraine, saying that he had just that morning signed yesterday morning an executive order putting tough economic sanctions and travel restrictions on anybody in the Ukraine who is partly responsible for the violence there and the Russian invasion of Crimea. The president also called on Congress to pass a new aid package for the Ukraine, which Congress did later in the day. Meanwhile, Congressman Darrell Issa, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, is in a lot of hot water, proving that he is the obnoxious a-hole everybody says he is, by suddenly calling a hearing ending a hearing 2 days ago, refusing to let the ranking Democrat Elijah Cummings speak. And when Congressman Cummings demanded a right to speak, he cut off his microphone and stormed out of the room. The Congressional Black Caucus is demanding that Issa be fired as chair of the House Oversight Committee. And CPAC is underway in Washington. And yesterday we had the first bunch of clowns led by Donald Trump. We'll tell you all about it. Take your calls and your comments right here on the Friday edition of The Bill Press Show.
This is The Bill Press Show.
In 1920s America, the Great Depression effectively erased consumer demand. Struggling manufacturers needed new ways to get people buying again. Innovative production processes like stamping and use of molds allowed them to use new materials for their designs. Products using vinyl, chrome, aluminium and plywood began appearing. American industrial designers began introducing streamlined, efficient shapes that shouted progress. Bel Geddes pioneered what we now refer to as utilitarian art. Things that had little reason to look sleek now all of a sudden did. At the 1939 World Fair featuring Bel Geddes' immensely popular Futurama exhibit, a new era of American industrial design proudly claimed to be building the world of tomorrow. Americans found great positivity in these futuristic forms. Yay. Things were looking up. American industrial designers realized that by making objects look great, people simply wanted them more. From cars to kitchen appliances, the most influential society on earth was spending money again. Mass consumption had arrived. Advertisers finally had lots to talk about. Personal taste could be expressed through the things you bought. Style became equally as important as function. Chair designers like Eames and Saarinen didn't just design seating, they created desirable lifestyles. People behind the products suddenly were stars. Everyone wanted to know who they were. Raymond Loewy was one of the shining lights of American industrial design. His face ended up on every coffee table in the nation. Toothpaste packaging promised whiter teeth. Washing powder packaging promised whiter whites. Who knew such simple household objects would shape the tastes and ambitions of an entire society? American industrial design improved America, functionally, culturally and intellectually, and exported it around the globe.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
The clown show is in town. That is CPAC, led yesterday by the number one clown of the Republican Party, Donald Trump. Why do they keep inviting him to their meetings? God. Good morning, everybody. Well, I'm glad they do, actually. Sort of, he represents what the Republican Party is all about today. Hey, great to see you this morning. Hello, hello, hello. It is Friday, March 7. It's the Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station. We are coming to you live on Free Speech TV. Great to see you this morning, and thank you for jumping on board the bus as we head out to bring you up to date on all the news of the day here from our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe, and of course get you involved in the conversation, give you a chance to get involved in the conversation at any rate by giving us a call on our toll-free line at 866-55-PRESS and sending us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. It's a Friday morning, so the whole team assembled here, round up the week. Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy. Hello, guys.
Happy Friday.
Good morning.
Yes, indeed. Alicia Cruz there. She's already on the phones, ready to take your calls. And Cyprian Bolding has us looking good on Free Speech TV and on our video stream, which is a little different today, Peter.
You want to check out our website, BillPressShow.com, or make sure you're following us on Twitter at BP Show. We're giving you the link. The Talker TV link that we normally use is not operable this morning, so use the one that we're sitting out on Twitter at BP Show and on our website.
We still have the video stream, and that's how people can find
Still
us, right?
streaming video. Have no fear. Just a little bit different today.
Two big events yesterday in Washington, of course, I mentioned. CPAC is meeting, and they've got the whole lineup of speakers yesterday, including, you talk about a long list of losers, right? Bobby Jindal, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Chris Christie. Who else I see there? Tom Coburn.
Wayne LaPierre gave a big speech yesterday.
Yeah. And today it's Rick Santorum. Forget who else.
They have Ralph Reed speaking today.
Yeah.
They brought Ralph Reed out today.
Back from the dead. And then tomorrow, Sarah Palin wraps it all up. I mean,
yeah, buddy.
What a bunch of clowns. That was one big event. And then last night at the White House, the president and the first lady celebrating women of soul, led by Aretha Franklin. We know Aretha, especially for get a little respect, huh? Well, the president had a little hard time with that last night.
Aretha first told us what RSPECT meant to her.
Dan Quayle returns to the White House.
Yeah, really. It's like one of the greatest songs ever. One of the best known songs ever.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Yeah.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
R-S. He was trying to. I think he was trying to give it that little.
He was trying to go by it. You got to. You
drop. You go by it fast, but you got to get. Yeah, you got to hit it. Yeah. Anyhow, so. Just
what?
Al Green.
Oh yeah. That's it. He should stick with his Al Green and leave Aretha alone.
Stick with
That's
it,
right.
Indeed. All right, we're going to start right here at the top of the hour with Kristina Wilfore from the National Democratic Institute about the Ukraine. Jess McIntosh from Emily's List will join us a little bit later in the hour to talk about some exciting women candidates out there today, starting with Wendy Davis in Texas. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Good news for travelers out of Washington, D.C.'s National Airport. When U.S. Airways and American Airlines merged, part of the concessions they had to make that merger was to give up 12 flights at National Airport, which JetBlue took over some of them. They announced yesterday new routes out of Washington, D.C., going to Charleston, South Carolina, Hartford, Connecticut, and Nassau, Bahamas. So those are going to kick in a little bit later on this year, but some new flights out of JetBlue for Washington travelers.
That's exciting.
I'm pretty stoked about that. JetBlue's
Charleston,
great.
South Carolina.
Dude,
yeah, JetBlue is great. And
we have such a
that's-
hard time.
I know.
flying
Getting
down
to
there,
Charleston is tough, right?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe direct flights to Asheville, North Carolina?
Oh, I haven't seen that yet. Not from JetBlue. We'll have to check. All right, to check. You remember during the Olympics, Bob Costas and his famous inflamed eyes.
He was off the air for, 3 days?
Like,
or so?
6 days, I think he was gone,
Ooh.
all total. The Page 6 is reporting that infected eye came from a botched Botox procedure to smooth out wrinkles prior to the Olympics. One source telling the Page 6, quote, Bob's eye infection was due to botched Botox, and this isn't the first time he's had it, end quote. Now, Costas doesn't seem to age.
He looks good.
And now we know why. NBC Sports insisted, saying that it's not true. They said, quote, this has zero truth.
I believe it. I believe it.
I do too.
Yeah.
He looks good, man.
But the timing is everything with Botox, right?
Or Brotox when guys get it done.
When guys get it done, yeah.
And Adam Carolla stepped in it a little bit. He went on to HuffPost Live. He's got a new TV show coming out on Spike TV called To Catch a Contractor. And he was talking about the late night wars and why there are no women in late night. And he basically defended the fact that there are no women. He said people are just used to saying, quote, a guy standing there in a suit telling monologue jokes. I don't know if it would be confusing if it's a woman standing there telling monologue jokes. We're just used to certain roles in gender.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So he's basically saying, America isn't ready for a woman comic.
No, right. And America's not ready to see a woman driving a bus. America's not ready to see a woman, right?
Vote.
Yeah, vote. Yeah, I mean, come on. Wow. I was at the White House yesterday when President Obama came in to update us on what he is doing about the Ukraine. Not a lot of options on the president's plate for sure. I want to find out more about it. Kristina Wilfore is past resident director of the Ukraine office of the National Democratic Institute. Has spent a lot of time in Ukraine, knows it well, knows the territory, knows the politics. And she joins us on our newsline from Istanbul, one of the most beautiful cities I ever visited. Kristina, good to have you with us this morning.
So happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So I want to ask you first about the referendum. The Crimean Parliament has set a referendum for 9 days away now to let the people of Crimea vote on whether or not they want to realign with Russia or stay as part of Ukraine. Is that going to have, how do you think that would turn out, and will it have any impact?
Well, what we have to keep in mind is that this is an illegal referendum, and in fact, I have a lot of familiarity with how ballot initiatives and referendum work, having done this exact work in the United States for 8 years, overseeing 300 campaigns. So I know that they can be subject to manipulations of both public opinion and the structures and mechanisms that go into the vote if there's not integrity in the process. And there certainly will be no integrity whatsoever in this process. The only way to ensure that there might have a chance of it actually expressing the free will of people is if there was some type of monitoring. But we have seen just in recent days that busloads of OSCE monitors, the UN envoy, they were turned around at gunpoint by Russians who are in control there. So we should not take this into any account of the true expression of public will.
And I saw this morning's New York Times, I think, reports that, pardon me, now the Russian parliament has said they will abide by or respect whatever vote comes out of this referendum in Crimea. It looks to me like they're kind of paving the way for a real break from the Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Well, it could be that way, and unfortunately, I don't think we'll have a true read on what the people in Crimea or the rest of Ukraine actually want. I was looking at polling information. This was from a few months ago, conducted by the International Republican Institute, which has been doing public opinion surveys consistently in Crimea. And interesting enough, they showed that relations with Russia, in terms of rank of importance of Crimean residents, was only at 7% who thought this was personally important, and only 23% supported separating from Russia when this was last polled, which I would say is the only reliable information we have right now. In addition to the fact that 77% of Crimeans thought that acceptable methods of protest did not include occupation of buildings. So everything that we're seeing is in defiance to what in calmer times we knew Crimeans were actually saying.
President Obama yesterday in the White House told us that he had signed this executive order, which gives him or gives our government the authority to impose sanctions and to deny visas to those people who have been involved in any way in helping suppress the people of Ukraine or responsible for violence there or responsible for the invasion of Crimea. Do you think those sanctions will have any impact?
Absolutely. Stopping Putin in Ukraine, which isn't just about Ukraine, as you can see that the Baltic states are shoring up their borders, and Moldova and Georgia will certainly be next if this continues. So stopping Putin doesn't have to mean war. It's carefully placed economic blows. It's the sanctions you mentioned, seizing bank accounts, international isolation, visa blackouts. There's all sorts of tools that would be absolutely impactful. And if you look at on Monday, after these weekend's events, that key Russian stock indexes tanked by more than 10%. So they lost about $60 billion in stock value. That's more than they spent on Sochi.
Yeah.
So this will be extremely effective. You also have to look at Europe's role in this.
I was going to ask you about Europe's role, because they're such key trading partners. Are they likely to impose their own sanctions?
We see several countries moving towards that. Of course, you have the issue of gas and the dependence in the gas pipeline, which complicates the matters, but you have European leaders stepping up with their own visa bans and sanctions, and this will speak volumes to Russians who are not looking at this from an ideological viewpoint, and you can hit them where it counts, which is about the money and access. They all want to go to Europe, vacation in Europe, send their kids in Europe, and their bank accounts secured in Europe, because it won't be and is not secure in the Russian system. And so this is an incredibly effective tool if administered in a unified way.
What do the people of Ukraine want?
Well, and other polling I was looking at just this morning locally with a group called the Democratic Initiatives Fund. I know the director. I've worked with this NGO group. The information is reliable. And even in eastern cities, other parts of Ukraine, Donetsk, which was the former president's, where he was governor, only a third of those of Donetsk citizens believe that they should be a part of Russia. In Luhansk, which is on the border with Russia, and Odessa, which is in southern Ukraine, only 24% said that they should be part of Russia. In Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, other eastern cities, only 16, 15, 13%. Ukrainians want a chance at a unified country that has a different type of leadership. They want political corruption addressed. They want what everyone wants around the world: a voice and opportunity, better economic situation, and they have a real chance to do this without Russia interfering, who obviously has been using this situation to manipulate and come into a sovereign country to get what they want. Using, I think, back to the Cold War. And people have asked, is this another Cold War? And it turns out they lost that. The world moved on, but I don't think Putin got the memo.
No, I don't think he did either. But it's hard. It's just hard to imagine how this whole thing is going to play out. I've heard so many scenarios, that we end up just ceding Crimea to Russia, or that the Russians move back into their bases, Ukrainians move back into their bases, or as you pointed out, Putin may have his eyes on back to Georgia, Moldova, or the Baltics, and it's a very, very tense situation. And again, we have a few options here. I think the president is doing what he can, but limited opportunities. Kristina, I envy you being in Istanbul. It's such a great city and such an exciting city right there, straddling Asia and Europe. And thank you for all your hard work and for taking time to join us this morning.
Absolutely. And actually listening to your lineup of CPAC, I can't say I miss living in the U.S.
The best and brightest.
No, you're doing much more important work over there. All right. Thanks, Kristina. We'll see you. Kristina Wilfore is the past director of the Ukraine office of the National Democratic Institute. She certainly knows that part of the world.
This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine, Virginia Tech,
Tucson,
Aurora,
Fort Hood, Oak Creek, Newtown,
Newtown,
Newtown.
Newtown.
How many more? How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough. 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 Enough.
Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad, as a friend, as a husband,
As a wife.
as an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook. Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 None of us would want to be told we can't marry the person we love. As Americans, we believe in freedom. That's what I fought for as a Marine, and that's what we believe in as Republicans. Freedom means freedom for everyone. I didn't used to understand the importance of same-sex marriage, but after learning my brother was gay, I wanted the same rights for him. He was the best man at my wedding, and I want to be the best man at his. It's only fair that Calvin should have the freedom to marry the person he loves, too.
It's time for marriage.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Jessica.gramillion@heart.org. Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
This is the Bill Press Show.
26 minutes after the hour, Friday morning, March 7. Jess McIntosh from Emily's List joins us in the next half hour to talk about some of the exciting races around the country, particularly where Democratic women are on the ballot. Particularly, we start with Texas and Wendy Davis. We now know she is the Democratic nominee for governor. Very exciting. Here's another exciting candidate we at least wanted to mention. We'll be talking more about it, but it is official, and you can start getting excited about this. You know, we haven't talked much about 2016, and I keep saying, and I'll say again, by the way, President Obama yesterday said that Democrats ought to focus on 2014, not 2016. I think he's been listening. I think he's been reading my columns.
Listening.
That's what I've been saying. Yeah. And I repeat it again. 2014 is got to be our focus. But when you look ahead to 2016, it ain't all Hillary and it ain't all Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders is saying we need somebody out there who is really going to carry the progressive torch, the progressive issues, and fight like a real, strong, liberal Democrat. Somebody's there only to fight for the middle class. Not for Wall Street, not for the oil companies. No. And Bernie says, basically, he has told The Nation magazine yesterday in an exclusive interview that if nobody else will do it, he is prepared to run. That's as far as he's going. He says here, quote, to The Nation, I am prepared to run for president of the United States. I don't believe that I am the only person out there who can fight this fight, but I am certainly prepared to look seriously at that race. He says if he were to run, he's not sure whether he would run as an independent third-party candidate, where he's a little afraid, he said, of the Nader factor, or the Nader dilemma, as he called it, or to run as a Democrat in the Democratic primary. He is now an independent, of course, and he caucuses with the Democratic Party in the Senate. But I got to tell you, if you want somebody who is good on our issues, you want somebody who is the definition of a proud, true, blue, progressive Democrat, it's Bernie Sanders of Vermont. I would love to see him in this race, and I would love to see him in the debates. Oh, my God, he would kill.
Is the Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing down, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you go.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on Talker TV. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 33 minutes after the hour. How about it? On a Friday morning, March 7, coming to you live from our nation's capital, our studio on Capitol Hill, and brought to you today by the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers Union. You put them all together, sheet metal, air, rail, and transportation, and you get SMART. That's what it is, the SMART Union. Under President Joseph Nigro, visit their website at smart-union.org, smart-union.org, to find out more about their good work. We saw this week an important primary down in Texas, the Democratic and Republican primaries for the statewide offices there, and as expected, out of the Democratic primary for governor, Wendy Davis, strong state senator Wendy Davis, strong candidate. What are her chances? We find out from Jess McIntosh, who is communications director for Emily's List, back in studio this morning. And welcome, Jess. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Very exciting. Huh?
Yes.
And
yes.
The Republicans down there seem split between the Tea Partiers and the mainstream Republicans.
It is an existential crisis for them. Honestly, I feel kind of bad. They're warring with themselves. They don't really know. There's the soul of the party is being fought for right now, and I honestly couldn't tell you who's gonna come out on top.
So does that provide an opportunity for Wendy Davis?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wendy Davis provides an opportunity for Wendy Davis. She's just sort of a once in a generation. I mean, literally, we had Ann Richards, and 20 years later, we have Wendy Davis. She is a once in a generation inspirational politician in Texas. So they had the primary. She won strong. She didn't have much of a challenge in the field. Texas Democrats haven't been this excited about a Texan in a very long time. I mean, I think people talked about the Castro brothers in Texas, who are sort of leading the vanguard of the future, but no one's talking about them right now. And then all of a sudden, here we have Wendy Davis, state senator from Texas. Is so gerrymandered that there is really only one swing district in the entire state in the state Senate, and Wendy Davis occupies it. So she has already been the kind of woman who can win votes from moderates, votes from Republicans. She couldn't hold that seat unless people were willing to cross party lines and vote for her. So, and she does it while still being a good Democrat. So that's a pretty rare politician. So here she is all of a sudden running for statewide office. And man, Texas Democrats couldn't be more pleased about it.
Yeah, but, she's running against Greg Abbott, yes, Attorney General, who has the support of Ted Nugent.
Yes, inexplicably, Greg Abbott decided to campaign with Ted Nugent. And now, I think he thought it was going to be okay because Rick Perry, who is the governor of Texas, is friends with Ted Nugent and has sort of skated by unscathed because of that. But I think there's a really big difference between somebody you've known for a couple of decades and somebody you choose to stand on a campaign stage with and associate him with not just your person, but with how you want to run the state. I mean, nobody knows who Greg Abbott is. He's not a household name. People listening here probably know him, if they know him at all, as Wendy Davis's Republican opponent. the man hasn't defined himself. He's not a fiscal conservative or a common sense leader. He hasn't done any of that work. The last time we heard about him was because his supporters were accusing her of being a bad mom and having a sugar daddy. So this guy just seems to pop up every time he wants to alienate women, and that seems like an odd campaign strategy.
And if there's anybody good at alienating women, it is Ted Nugent.
It sure is.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the Republican Party. I mean, they don't have spokespeople anymore. Like, they have to go to Ted Nugent. They have to go to Rush Limbaugh. There aren't any, the days of the moderate Republican are just kind of over.
Well, I don't know that I would agree with that. I mean, CPAC now is in town, and they have a panel tomorrow to talk about how the Republican Party has to reach out to women. I think CPAC itself might have to have some advice on how to reach out to women. Yes. I saw the lineup of their speakers.
22 men and 3 women.
That sort of says something about, doesn't it?
I tweeted something
like
about that.
Yesterday, there was not one woman on stage, right? I mean, it was all Mitch McConnell, Wayne LaPierre, Chris Christie, Ted Cruz.
Well, CPAC is famously where Republicans audition to run for president, and they don't have any women in that lineup. So tonight we're going to hear from Sarah Palin. There are
whoop-de-doo,
apparently
right?
2 other women.
But tomorrow, so they want to talk about how to reach out to women tomorrow, and they are doing the same thing that the RNC did. They have invited as their speaker Mike Huckabee. So are we going to hear about Uncle Sugar again?
Hopefully.
I mean, after the last time.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. I mean, after he mortally embarrassed the Republican Party the last time, right? Why would you get your Southern Baptist preacher...
Remember when he was the one that was good at talking on behalf of the Republican Party? He was the one that we were all like a little bit nervous about because he did that I'm a conservative but I'm not angry about it thing that went over so well. Not so much anymore.
No. But they're bringing him back again in CPAC. They're tone deaf.
They don't know what else to do. They have tried to rebrand, to make over themselves, to do the sensitivity trainings. I mean, they have tried veneer after veneer to fix their issues with women, and they do not understand that the issue it's quite substantive. It's policy-based. It's about your agenda. It's about the fact that you don't believe in the wage gap, that you're trying to curtail access to birth control, that you think that we shouldn't deal with the minimum wage, we shouldn't have paid sick. I mean, these are very serious substantive policy concerns.
Women do need and want health care.
Yes,
right?
and
they don't want you to repeal Obamacare.
That women are more likely to favor candidates who are willing to provide them economic opportunity. This is not rocket science, and they don't need a better messenger or sensitivity trainings, although it would be nice if they stopped talking about rape the way they do. What they need is a better policy agenda, and they seem totally unwilling to even discuss that.
Now, not only that, but I don't think she's on the agenda. I haven't seen her yet. I can't believe she's not. But Michelle Bachmann famously said a couple of weeks ago that she had some bad news for Hillary Clinton because America was not ready for a woman as president of the United States.
This is a woman who ran for president. Remember? She won the Iowa straw poll.
I think she forgot. Yeah, hello, Michelle. Yeah, she did. She won the Ames.
And I was so pro Michelle Bachmann running for president. I think that women achieve equality when we have women who have no business in leadership roles being in leadership roles. I want mediocre women. Like we're gonna be great when we have mediocre women, when we have women who are there just because of who their parents are, when we have women who let's treat it just like the guys. So I'm pro Michelle Bachmann. That said, those comments were completely inexplicable. Of course, America is ready for a woman president. I think if there's one thing that we learned out of the 2008 primary race between Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, it's that was not a barrier. It just wasn't. People saw her as, a tough common sense leader who cared about the middle class. And she has only in the last 7 years proven herself as a world leader, as someone who is credible and serious and the right person on the world stage. So I think that we're, and Emily's List has done lots of polling about the mood of the electorate, how people feel about a woman president. And the results come back almost unanimous. I mean, 94% say, and this is Republicans and Democrats, that they are ready for a woman president, that is
just
not a barrier.
Not ready for a woman candidate or president by the name of Sarah Palin or Michelle Bachmann.
They're ready for the right woman president. Luckily, we have a lot of the right women. We don't have to go to Michelle Palin. To Michelle
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I'm sorry, I created some sort of terrible hybrid. Let's just back that one up.
But let's be honest, though. Every time one of these Republican men, particularly, say something outrageous about women, Emily's List is able to take advantage of it, aren't you?
Yeah,
it does,
we are.
They are their own worst enemy, right? In terms of helping you recruit new support and members.
So Emily's List has a little over 3 million members now. At the end of the 2010 election cycle, which remember was when Republicans took over the House, John Boehner is going to become Speaker. Right. It was the Tea Party wave. At the end of the 2010 cycle, we had about 400,000. So there's been a sextupling.
Wow.
Sextupling, is that a word? We have increased sixfold since then. And there are two sides to that coin. One is no one could have predicted how virulently anti-woman their agenda was going to be. Remember, in the very beginning of 2011, they almost shut down the government over funding Planned Parenthood. That was like the first thing that they did. And then they tried to redefine rape. There was the Let Women Die bill. I mean, it was just like horrific thing after horrific thing. And I think a lot of women... Oh, and then there was Sandra Fluck and the not allowing them to testify on birth control. I think a lot of women sat up and got engaged where, politics just wasn't on their front burner because women are busy, and that's how that's always worked. And they thought that these fights were kind of over with our mom's generation, and they're clearly not. So that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that Emily's List supports Democratic women candidates. And we have had some of the strongest, most inspiring, best progressives, top-tier races candidates for the last couple of cycles. And I don't know how much of those two sides are interrelated, frankly. How many women decide they want to step up because they are seeing such a regressive backlash on the other side.
Or because they see such great women candidates.
Right, exactly. But they definitely feed off of each other. But we had, Elizabeth Warren and Tammy Baldwin were sort of the standard bearers of the Democratic Party in 2012. And women offer, I think, the clearest contrast to these guys. It becomes... if you want an antidote to this, a strong Democratic pro-choice woman is quite clearly the way to go. And this year we have Kentucky and Georgia and Wendy Davis in Texas. We have a lot of the top-tier House races, best possible takeover opportunities have strong Democratic women running in them. So the trend seems to be, the map is tougher in 2014 than 2012, but the trend of having the Democratic Party's vanguard candidates be women is continuing. So I think that's why Emily's List is seeing such a surge.
And if you're not a member yet, why not? Go to emilyslist.org and join up. And while you're at it, give us a call with your questions or comments about some of the strong women running in your state, your city, whatever. 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number, with Jess McIntosh, Communications Director for Emily's List.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go. Make it 11 minutes before the top of the hour. Here at the top of the next hour, Olivia Nuzzi from the Daily Beast will be joining us. And then we are all looking forward to our guacamole cook-off here for a Friday morning. Not sure who's bringing the beer here.
I'm going to slay. I got beer back there. We can have beer.
We have... All right, there we go.
Stay.
You're going to stay? You're welcome to stay. You can be another celebrity guest. Igor Volsky is going to be here from Think Progress as our celebrity judge for the guacamole cook-off in the next hour. Fridays, particularly the third hour on Friday, we just clock out. We're into the weekend.
Sorry, we should apologize.
Right. So, Jess, let me ask you about, you just mentioned, just as we were about to break, these Senate races. There's some very control of the Senate is up, and it is not taken for granted that Democrats are going to maintain. No. It's so important that they do, but it's a lot of tight races there, and some very important races where women are our Democratic candidates. Let's start with Kentucky. Sure. Allison Grimes. Mitch McConnell yesterday showing up with his big gun at
Wasn't
CPAC.
that just the silliest?
Stupid, yeah.
It's the most pandering.
Yeah.
Oh, look at me. I've got a gun on stage.
That man did not look... I mean, okay, when Charlton Heston did it, that looked like a dude who wanted to be holding a gun up there. Mitch McConnell
he
didn't look comfortable.
Do I have to hold this gun
with it?
He was holding it the way I would hold like a rattlesnake, just like very keep it as far away from me as possible.
So
yes, he's in the race of his life, which is just terrific. Everybody seems to see Kentucky as the number one takeover opportunity for Democrats in 2014, which is kind of insane because we're talking about the Senate minority leader.
Right.
This guy should be the toughest to beat, but man, is Kentucky over him. I mean, even Kentucky Republicans would like to see somebody else there. And I think that's why they took his Tea Party challenger so seriously for so long. That seems to be fading a little bit. But he was in a little bit of a primary fight for several months there. Allison Lonergan Grimes is the Secretary of State in Kentucky. She is the youngest woman Secretary of State in the country. She is fantastically popular. She's one of the highest vote getters statewide. She's just Kentucky through and through. She's just, she punches with a smile. She's one of those, like, not afraid to back down at all. She's the perfect person to take on a notoriously tough campaigner like Mitch McConnell, and he clearly has no idea what to do with her. He hasn't engaged her on, she's hitting him on the minimum wage. She's hitting him on not having a jobs plan. I mean, she's substantively engaging with him, and he is, doing stuff like having his people Photoshop her head on the Obama girl's body. Like, he doesn't have anything to say.
And then we just looked at. Then we jump over to Georgia.
Yes.
Open seat.
Yes.
Michelle Nunn, a strong person in her own right,
She's
and
amazing.
daughter of
Sam Nunn.
Sam Nunn, former senator.
Right. Yeah, so she's a first-time candidate running for Senate, which is amazing. Women don't usually come in at that level. Women usually work their way up the ladder. She, of course, was CEO of the Points of Light Foundation, so she is already a major public figure. She's versed in the world of politics, although not really of it, which is sort of the perfect combination right there. She's used to working with Republicans, and speaking of Republicans, the field that is fighting for the Republican nomination in Georgia is, Todd Akin would be the sane one if he were running in that field. They are just trying to outdo each other. There's Paul Brown, who says evolution is a lie straight from the pits of hell. There's Phil Gingrey, who wants to teach kids that daddies are better at some things and mommies are better at some things. And, by the way, thinks Todd Akin was right. Because he's an OBGYN and he regularly, which is terrifying to begin with, but let's just put that aside real quick. He's an OBGYN and he regularly counsels his patients that, if they want to conceive, they just need to have a glass of wine and relax. So that's what Akin was talking about, that,
I got it.
That's what he means.
These guys.
And then you have Jack Kingston, who wants poor kids to sweep cafeteria floors before they're given their school lunch, so that they know there's no such thing as a free lunch, because that's the lesson poor kids need to learn. And then you have Karen Handel, who had to resign as Susan G. Komen CEO after starting the Planned Parenthood flap. Yeah. So that is the lineup trying to take on this venerable woman who has the last name
It sounds like the best way for her to campaign is to shut up and let them, know.
I could listen to him all day, so I'm fine with that.
Well, I feel better about the state of affairs now that you've been in to bring us up to date. Jess, and thank you again. Best to Stephanie and all of our friends at Emily's List. And don't forget, it's emilyslist.org. Okay? Sign up today. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
See you soon.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Hey friends, do you realize that heart disease kills more Americans every year than all forms of cancer combined? So when you donate to the American Heart Association, you're contributing to life-saving research with every dollar. You can make your donation today through the Pop Money personal payment service. All you do is download the app or go online to popmoney.com. Sign up to send your donation to jessica.gramillion@heart.org. 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 Here's the best part. The 95-cent fee is assessed to you, the sender, regardless of how much money you contribute. That means that 100% of your donation goes to support the ongoing research to help save lives across America. No fees are paid by the American Heart Association, getting more bang for your buck. And of course, terms and conditions apply.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
This is the Bill Press Show.
In the next hour, we're going to talk politics with Olivia Nuzzi from the Daily Beast. And then the big guacamole cook-off here. 3 contestants. The best guacamole will be decided by celebrity judge Igor Volsky.
I'm showing no mercy, by the way.
President Obama is not staying around for the Guac Fest. He is going down to Coral Gables, Florida today with the First Lady. They're going to visit a classroom down at Coral Reef High School, talking about the fact that if you want to really make this a stronger country and improve our economy, there's nothing better than helping kids get a good public school education. Good for him.
This
we'll be right back.
is the Bill Press Show. Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Darrell Issa embarrasses the entire Congress by his rude treatment of Congressman Elijah Cummings. When will John Boehner do the right thing and strip Darrell Issa of his chairmanship? Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is Friday, March 7. Good to see you today. Thank you for joining us here on the Bill Press Show, coming to you live, coast to coast, on your local progressive talk radio station, your progressive talk radio show of the morning, and on our video stream, which you can find by going to there's a little problem with Talker TV this morning. I don't know. Somebody didn't pay the bill or something. I don't know.
I blame Cyprian.
You know what?
Cyprian for
You're
everything.
right. It's Cyprian's fault,
Yeah.
at any rate. But we still have the video stream going. It's just you get there a little differently today. So go to BillPressShow.com and follow the link to the video stream. And it's good to have you with us, listening or watching. And we're very happy to. This is a big time in Washington. It doesn't get any bigger than this. This even surpasses the inauguration of a new president of the United States when CPAC comes to town.
Who needs the Oscars?
That's right. We've got
the Oscars are a warm up to CPAC.
Yeah, Hollywood can have the Oscars. We have CPAC. And Olivia Nuzzi from Daily Beast is in town from New York, New Jersey to cover CPAC and joins us in studio this morning. Hi, Olivia. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
The you for coming in. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Nice to have an outlander here from from Christie Land. He was there yesterday. Your guy was there, huh?
He spoke.
He probably looked out and saw you and said, "Oh God, she's stalking me."
At his town hall a few weeks ago, we made eye contact, and I was terrified. I ran away.
Oh, well, he
didn't want to encounter him.
At least he didn't throw you out.
That's true.
No, exactly. We got the whole team here this morning, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy.
Hey.
Good morning.
Alicia Cruz is on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding here for what it's worth, because he doesn't have the video stream, Darker TV up. At any rate, Cyprian's our videographer. Extraordinary. Here he is. Hey, so I'm going to Vegas this weekend for a little speaking gig out there, and I have been sort of I've learned a lesson, I think, from listening to Mark Johnston. He's the guy, Peter, you told us about him yesterday.
Yeah.
He went out to have a little good time in Vegas. He'd saved up his money, saved up $500,000, went to the Downtown Grand Casino, or the Grand Casino in downtown Vegas, or whatever.
Yeah, I forget what it's called.
Yeah. And
Down Grand, it's called the Down Grand.
The Down Grand. I think it's the Downtown Grand. I'm pretty sure it's the Downtown Grand. I'm going to go with that.
So he started partying on the plane on the way out. And he's a high roller. They picked him up at the airport. He was already drunk, and he tells us what happened from then on.
Getting on the plane, getting in the limo, going to Triple George's. I really don't remember anything after Triple George's.
Brutal honesty.
No, yeah. He remembers nothing after that. Although he lost his $500,000, he is now suing the casino, saying they stole his money.
Just picture a drunk man walking down the street. Is it legal for somebody to walk up with a drunk man walking down the street and reach in his pocket and take his money? No.
In Vegas? It kind of is.
You know, I'm sorry. It just seems to be. You get drunk and you walk into a casino and you blow your money, man.
Sorry.
That is not theft. That's stupidity.
There's been a time or 2 or 12 in my life that I've had too much to drink. Mm-hmm. And I've lost my keys or my watch. I haven't lost $500 gambling.
Yeah, right. And then blame it on the casino.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Say they stole his money.
Right.
I don't know. So I just want you to know I will not go near the Downtown Grand this weekend. I promise you.
And only take like $300,000 to gamble.
Oh,
okay? Don't take $500,000. That's too much.
All right.
That's too much.
Okay, we'll leave some money behind for the grandkids' college fund.
Yeah.
Right. So Olivia Nuzzi's here for the first half hour, and then the second half hour, Igor Volsky is coming in from Think Progress. He's here every Tuesday, as we all know, to talk about the news of the day. Today he's coming in with his celebrity chef hat on, and he will be our celebrity judge in our guacamole cook-off for the last half hour of the show. The contestants, Olivia, being Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy and Carol Press. So we have 3 outstanding examples of
I'm gonna crush you guys.
Of guacamole. Carol always wins.
Yeah, that's right. I'm already voting for Carol, just so you know.
And we'll get right to the news of the day, but first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. Thou shalt not steal unless, of course, you are the Pope. Pope Francis revealed yesterday that he went to the funeral of his late confessor when he was a younger man. He saw that no one brought him flowers to put on his casket, so Pope Francis went up to the casket, looked inside, saw he was holding on to the rosary with his cold, dead hands, so Pope Francis took it. He wanted it. He said he looked in there. He said, immediately there came to mind the thief we all have inside ourselves, and while I arranged the flowers, I took the cross, and and I hate this part, with just a bit of force, I removed it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He carries the rosary with him to this day.
Just a bit of force to pry the cold, dead fingers off.
That's dark.
Right?
That's
really
dark.
It's crazy dark.
But I have to say, first of all, the Pope walks up. He looks at, here's this guy, and there are no flowers there. And he says, oh, this was a wonderful man. He did such great things in life, and nobody thought to give him some flowers. The Pope leaves, goes out and buys some roses, buys red roses, and comes in and puts the roses on the casket, and then he steals the cross.
That doesn't make it.
Yes, it does.
I'm like anti-grave robbing in all across the board. Okay, like
not if you leave flowers.
think she was courteous about it.
It's the mark.
Yeah. Staples office supply stores made the announcement yesterday. They are going to close 225 stores in North America by the middle of next year. They're trying to trim costs. Last year, they closed about 40 stores. They're saying that this is going to save them $500 million annually. So they're closing these big office stores, which a lot of people still use. But, more and more people are buying stuff online.
I hope they don't close the one down at 19th and L in Washington. I go there all the time. That's where I get my office supplies. Uh-oh is right. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on it. And last night, a rivalry in Los Angeles, the Clippers versus the Lakers in NBA basketball. And the Lakers suffered the worst loss in franchise history. The Clippers won. They beat the Lakers 142-94.
Oh, my God.
Just a small, they slipped away with a victory, a 48-point win last night.
So many basketball games are like 1.2 points,
They could be close.
Yeah.
They could be close.
Whoa.
I mean, elsewhere in the league, the San Antonio Spurs took on the Miami Heat. The Spurs, and I'm going to crowbar this in. The Spurs won 111-87. So another thrashing last night. They beat the Heat.
All right. Yes, you had to put it.
I had to thrash. I'm a Spurs guy. You know this.
We got it. All right. So I thank you for not only being here, but thank you for going to CPAC yesterday. So I didn't have to. That was very kind of you. Yeah.
I did it for you.
So, if you think about it, so Bobby Jindal, Donald Trump, of course, Chris Christie, Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell, Tom Coburn. I forget who else was there yesterday, but I mean...
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio, yeah. I mean...
Paul Ryan.
Paul Ryan? Whoa.
All the A-listers.
Who was the star?
I don't know if there really was one. As I said, most of the press missed Ted Cruz speak because he spoke so early, and the press sign-in was kind of a mess.
So they didn't have their organization set up,
No, it was a
right?
wreck. And I heard it was the first year it was that bad, though. So, but I don't know if there was a breakout star. I know people are very excited today for Rand Paul, so we'll see. Maybe he will be the...
How was Chris Christie received? That was a big question.
He was received very well, and I was pretty surprised because I don't think anyone expected him to be so well received. And there was a protester who was getting quite a lot of attention from the media outside the main ballroom who was saying he was going to stage a walkout. And so I was expecting sort of booing or something like that. But they gave him a standing ovation when he first came on the stage. They gave him a standing ovation after his speech. And it was a good speech. We never really hear Christie talk about his beliefs because he doesn't really have an opportunity to do that in New Jersey because it's so democratic. So he's not going to come out and talk about...
Or because he doesn't have any beliefs, one might say, too. Right.
But I think it was really good for Christie to remind the Republican Party that he's a Republican, too. And so it was kind of remarkable to see him talk about being pro-life and hit Obama on income inequality. It's just something we never hear from him.
Paul Ryan, it's kind of a non-entity these days, isn't he? In that crowd, is he?
I mean, he got some laughs and some applause, but Christie was far and away more popular than he was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so today you say it's going to be Rand Paul, right? And, before we get to today, I do have to ask you, Donald Trump. I mean, talk about the clown act, right? I mean, why Donald Trump? Does anybody really take him seriously?
I don't
Did
think
that crowd
they
take him seriously?
They laughed a lot. I don't know what that means exactly. He was funny.
They looked at his hair, probably what it means.
Didn't look that bad in person.
Really?
No. But yeah, he was funny. He seemed mildly self-aware. But
of being a joke.
Yeah, being a punchline. But I don't think anyone really thinks he's going to run for president. His speech made it sound like he was the only hope for the future, but I don't think anyone took it seriously.
I don't think he's ever really been running for president. I just think he's sort of like a professional wrestler in the sense that he really knows how to control a narrative and an audience and the media, and he's having the time of his life with all this.
Yeah. Here's Donald Trump. The big thing yesterday was saying that Obama is even worse than it's going to turn out to be even worse than Jimmy Carter. Here's Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I lived through that time, and it was not a good time. And we're pretty close. I think maybe by next month we will have surpassed The late, great Jimmy Carter.
Maybe somebody ought to tell him that.
Maybe he meant
Jimmy,
dead in a figurative sense.
Maybe?
No, he probably thinks he's dead. I mean, yeah. You know why? Because Donald Trump is brain dead.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, exactly. The late, great. So today, the big star, Rand Paul.
I think so.
But Mike Huckabee too, right? And Sarah Palin tonight.
Sarah Palin tonight. I'm very excited for that. And Rick Perry will be speaking as well.
And Rick Santorum. Oh my God.
It's
yeah.
All the A-listers again.
I mean, it's just, it's amazing that they put them all on stage in one weekend. And they all feel compelled to be there. I mean, they probably, some of them don't even go to the Republican National Convention, but they would not miss the CPAC.
Yeah. Across the street from CPAC is CPAC for those who are too conservative for regular CPAC. It's like the misfit CPAC. And
what, to the right of CPAC?
Yeah.
Well, who the hell speaks at that one?
Ted Cruz spoke at it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And one of my colleagues was there, and he got Ginny Thomas asking Ted Cruz a question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Well, she works for the Daily Caller. Yeah.
And then
Ginny Thomas.
I saw her later at night at a party for Louis Gohmert, and I tried to follow up with her on my colleague's question.
That's who's right of CPAC, Louis Gohmert.
And she tried to kick my colleague out of the party.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So, and then it ends Sunday, is that right? Or
Saturday.
It ends tomorrow. Huh? Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing in CPAC is to try and watch these guys try and balance and try and prove their credentials that they can be mainstream but also hit the base. Like, you remember in 2012 when Romney went and he said his big, not to use a cliche term, but his big gaffe was where he said, "I'm severely conservative."
Oh yeah.
He'd been hit with a case of the itis. I'm severely conservative.
But I think that the big takeaway from CPAC, if there is one, is that they keep saying, we are the party of ideas, and Democrats don't have any ideas, and we have the good ideas, but they haven't mentioned what those ideas are. Christie said that they had the better ideas. Paul Ryan made that a big focus in his speech, but they didn't offer any ideas.
No, their only idea is to repeal Obamacare, and to blame everything on President Obama, no matter what it is.
Right.
The weather, invasion of Crimea.
That's because of Benghazi.
That's right.
That's because of Benghazi.
That's right.
No, exactly.
Also his fault.
The other thing, when we come back, we'll talk to you more about your regular beat, which is Chris Christie. He might say that Bridgegate is behind him, but we want to find out, is it really? Olivia Nuzzi here from the Daily Beast. Your call's welcome at 866-55-PRESS.
This is the Bill Press Show. radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, it's 25 minutes after the hour now. Olivia Nuzzi is here from the Daily Beast. We're talking CPAC, the clown show here in Washington, D.C., and we are building up to the big guacamole cook-off. The excitement is just, you can cut it with a knife here in the studio. All morning we've been looking forward to this. Igor Volsky will be here as our celebrity judge to choose the best guacamole of the day. We thought we better hurry up and have a guacamole contest while you can still get avocados before global warming does away with the avocado crop. Olivia, now, I do want to ask you about Chris Christie, but first, Ted Cruz said something yesterday which I found really kind of strange. First of all, he started with some lame joke about the IRS, but you weren't in the room because your reporters were not in yet because they didn't have their stuff together over there. But he talked about the last 3 Republican nominees for president. Here's Ted Cruz.
Look, those are good men, they're decent men, but when you don't stand and draw a clear distinction, when you don't stand for principle, Democrats celebrate.
So he was talking about Bob Dole and John McCain and Mitt Romney, right? Those 3 men, he said, by name, he said, so they're good men, but basically they didn't stand for anything, so therefore they lose. I mean, I found it kind of striking, right, that he would attack by name 3 Republican candidates for president, basically say, they just folded, right?
Right. Well, I think maybe that's why Republicans like him so much, because he is very blunt.
Because he attacks Republicans?
Well, I think there's probably frustration with Mitt Romney especially, that he didn't come out strongly enough on, many different issues. I don't think people really thought he was a true conservative. So
that gang didn't.
Yeah, so I think it's appealing to conservatives for Ted Cruz to attack.
Even John McCain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Now, Chris Christie, he says he's tired of answering questions about Bridgegate. He's not going to answer any more questions. It's all past history, is it?
Well, he hasn't taken questions from the media since his January 9th press conference. So it's not as if he's been answering questions every day about this. Yeah. He's been staging these town halls in towns where they really don't care about Bridgegate and, where they've been hit hard by Sandy, or where it's just not a high priority, which is very smart politically for him to do that. But I don't think it's clear whether or not, most of the constituents care about Bridgegate. I think there was a poll that showed most people do believe that he had something to do with it in New Jersey. But we won't know if it's over until the investigation is over.
And there's several investigations, right?
Yeah. There's the Bridgegate Committee in the state legislature, which is comprised of now, I think, 11 members of the legislature, 4 Republicans. And they're constantly subpoenaing different people involved with the Port Authority. And
then the U.S. Attorney's investigation as well. And with that, we are out of time, Olivia. So nice to see you. Anytime you're in Washington, come on by.
Thank you for having me.
Here. And we'll try to have, some food cook-off the next time you're here, too, right? Just to keep it interesting.
This is the Bill Press Show. On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
How about it? 33 minutes after the hour, Friday morning, March 7, booming out to you live from our nation's capital here in Washington, D.C. Wait a minute.
What day is it? Where am I?
Friday, but now it's like it's got to be Tuesday because Igor Volsky from Think Progress is here in studio with us. What day is it?
I thought it was Tuesday. Am I here on the wrong day?
When you walked in, I thought it was Tuesday.
Oh.
Before that, I thought it was Friday. Actually, Igor is back for a special celebrity guest appearance today as our celebrity judge for the big guacamole cook-off.
And listen, I'm sorry I'm late. You've been promoting this so much. The paparazzi outside the building, pictures, autographs. Oh,
yeah, right.
It's rough getting here.
We will get to the guacamole in our next segment. We are going to keep everybody. Although I understand you already have your beer ready.
Well, I have to prepare for this, Bill. Can't just dive into the guacamole.
You have to cleanse your palate.
Yeah, I've been cleansing my palate for hours on the bus over here.
Oh, is this
last
the first
night.
or the second or the third Corona?
Well, fifth, but I'm not counting.
But we're going to talk about, we've got a couple of things we've got to talk about before we get to the guac cook-off, which, of course, is, again, just in case you're just joining us, Chipotle announcing this week that because of global warming, they are afraid that the avocado crop is going to go down so low that they will not be able to afford making guacamole anymore, and they're going to take it off the menu of their restaurant.
Yes, guacamole and salsa could be endangered. This is the first time they revealed this in their SEC report, where they're legally required to admit what kind of liabilities they may have.
And investors are very worried, so we are out to save guacamole with our guacamole cook-off today. 3 guacamoles made by Peter Ogburn, Elisa Murphy, and Carol Press. And
yes, and I'm open to persuasion, so we should talk about...
Are you open to dollars?
I'm open to everything.
Other greens.
Yes,
but
exactly.
First, your lead story on Think Progress this morning is something we talked about a little bit earlier, and that was the big confrontation at the House Oversight Committee where Darrell Issa, chairman, very rudely refused to let the ranking Democrat, Elijah Cummings, speak. This is yet another IRS hearing. And he actually cut off his microphone. Here is, first of all, Congressman Cummings just objecting to that, beginning to object to that kind of treatment.
Mr. Chairman, you cannot run a committee like this. You just cannot do this. We're better than that as a country. We're better than that as a committee.
And Darrell Issa stands up, hits his microphone, and storms out of the room. I mean, Igor, even when people don't like each other, there usually is a certain amount of congressional courtesy, correct?
Yeah, this was a shocking moment, I think, not for Democrats, but for many Republicans and conservatives, because the optics of the situation are just so ugly, and there's no way...
Our gives him the...
Cut his throat, turn off his mics.
Right? Yeah.
Cummings speaks loudly. He has a great voice that projects throughout the room. Doesn't need a mic. Trying to speak, and kind of Issa turns to him and says, "You wanted to ask a question? You didn't ask a question. The hearing is over." And leaves, kind of patronizes him in that way. And you, of course, saw the Congressional Black Caucus write a letter to Boehner and say, this guy should be reprimanded. This kind of behavior in the greatest deliberative chamber in the nation, in the world, shouldn't stand. Boehner said, look, I stand by Issa. He's been a great chairman. And the Democrats yesterday tried to slip in a resolution condemning Issa's behavior. But, of course, Republicans tabled it. Eventually, I think last night, Issa apologized to Cummings.
He finally realized, after spending 2 days, he was on Fox right after the hearing saying, I was right, Cummings was wrong.
He was slandering me, he said.
Yeah, that's right. And he demanded that Cummings apologize to him. And this was all day yesterday. And finally, late last night, he called Cummings and apologized. I think he finally got the message from Boehner. Listen, you have brought disrespect to the entire House and to the Republican Party and to the Republican leadership. You'd better take your medicine here, guy.
And Bill, this isn't just this one isolated incident. I mean, this is kind of the height of it. Throughout all of these hearings, IRS and Benghazi, ISA has been selectively leaking information to the press to make this administration look bad.
And a lot of cases, information that turned out to be
very wrong, very one-sided. And when the context was revealed, it was clear that what ISA was alleging wasn't actually the case in any of this. In Benghazi, in Fast and Furious, in IRS, we can go down the line of all these faux ISA scandals. The great investigator who has yet to dig up anything truly damning on that directly ties to Obama. And so Cummings, I'm sure you are. I'm on his press list, and I get these releases all the time of him trying to contextualize kind of the latest ISA attack. And there, I think, in their office, are really exasperated with what's going on because time and time again, he really behaves in this. When you're an investigator, you're conducting an investigation, I think there's a belief that let the investigation run its course, and then whatever the findings are, the findings are. ISA is interested in using a select piece of information in order to, minute by minute, have this drip, 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 drip of a story that supposedly connects to Obama. That's what makes for good cable news. That's what makes for good fundraising. That's what he's about.
Well, here's what I think. And if I were not working on another book right now, I would write this book, which is to take the House Oversight Committee under Henry Waxman and everything that it achieved, monumental achievements to help the American people, taking on the tobacco kings, taking on the oil companies, taking on the pharmaceutical companies. Seriously. Groundbreaking new legislation coming out of that hearing, thanks to Henry Wax. And then compare that with the kangaroo court and the sham hearings that Darrell Issa has held. And that's all they are. I mean, the IRS hearings, what has he held? 15 of them so far?
I can't even
Benghazi hearings, probably 35 of them, right? You mentioned
Fast and Furious.
The Fast and Furious hearings. And so all of these, they're just sham hearings. Nothing came out of them. No legislation, no new information, just a bunch of it's a political
and millions of dollars
showcase.
Spent. I mean, they spent north of $14 million on the IRS hearings alone in staff time, in the hearings themselves. And there's no end in sight.
And in this case, 2 days ago, yet another IRS hearing, the one where this flap occurred, he brought back Lois Lerner, who had testified before and taken the fifth before. And he knew ahead of time that if he brought her back, he was told ahead of time that she would take the fifth again. There were no surprises at that hearing. He knew what the outcome was going to be. He asked his question. She took the fifth. He ended the hearing. So now, enough about the news of the day. We have more important things to do. Guacamole. I mean, a life without guacamole would not be a life worth living, for sure. So we're going to do our effort to save guacamole in the next segment here. It's Peter Ogburn versus Elisa Murphy versus Carol Press.
It's on.
Stay tuned.
This is the Bill Press Show. on your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Okay. All right. Hey, here we are. Wait, live.
We're live, baby.
Live radio, TV.
You got it.
Sorry, I was getting the instructions for the guacamole cook-off here.
Very complicated procedure.
Have yourself a... There you go.
Excuse me while I sip my Corona. Good morning, everybody. Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Bill Press Show, coming to you live from our nation's capital, where our mission this morning is to save guacamole.
Yeah, man.
This is why we have to do something about global warming to protect the avocado crop. And we're doing it with a celebrity cook-off this morning. We have in front of us 3 samples of guacamole.
So we have 3.
They're all green.
Which is a good start.
That's a good start.
Which is a good start.
I want to say they were all freshly made this morning.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now, Cyprian, here we go. So this is, they're just
sample number one.
Sample number 1. Okay.
Leave it. He's got the show.
All right.
There's some beautiful consistency there.
There is a beautiful consistency.
It is gorgeous.
Sample number 2. And sample number 3. If I were in a restaurant and I ordered and any one of these came, I'd be very happy.
All look very good.
All right.
They all look very good.
And
so Alicia has 3 samples.
Now, which is yours and which is Carol's and which is...
That's a blind
taste test. That's the thing. It's a blind taste test.
One is Peter Ogburn, one is Elisa Murphy, and one is Carol
Well, but
Press.
let me just ask first, which of the Carol Press scarves do I win after this is done? Okay. That's really what I want to know.
No, my first question is, what the hell does a Russian know about...
Oh my! Well, I thought this was borscht. He got me here saying it was borscht with the Ukrainian theme. I don't know.
These were not made with beets.
I made my guacamole with horse meat.
Oh, there you go.
Is this the first time that you have ever had guacamole?
Well, I prepared by sleeping with an avocado under my pillow for the last 3 days to really be able to do this. So I'm ready.
You would think that if we were going to be tasting guacamole and have a test, we'd have Marco Rubio in.
Yeah.
Instead,
Marco Rubio.
We're multicultural.
All right, and who else? Who do we have? Other judges?
Cyprian is judging, and Alicia is judging. They're both going to be judging.
Yeah, are they good enough, Bill?
And they all have the same.
Everyone has the same order of guac. Okay. We're all going to be eating 1, 2, and 3, and then at the end of the taste test,
all right,
we'll each get to vote on who they think, which number had the best guac.
All right,
and then
the 3 judges do,
and then I will reveal.
Now, what do I? How about me?
You got skin in the game, buddy.
But am I allowed to taste?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't get to vote, but you get to taste.
Okay, and just for extra benefit, we all have a Corona beer too.
Which is, by the way, if you're going to have guacamole, you got to have a Corona.
Or a Dos Equis.
Yeah, or a Dos Equis.
Or a Tecate.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, hell, you can have a Dunkelweiss. You know?
Or a margarita.
Or a margarita.
Mm-hmm.
Or vodka. I mean.
All right.
Guys, you do that, right?
All right, let's go. Drum roll. Put up the...
All right, dig in. So we're starting with this bowl here is bowl number 1. Okay. Bowl number 1.
Looks very spiced.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Alicia and Cyprian and Igor here.
Yeah, take a sample there.
Uh-oh. Very creamy. I really taste the lime.
Uh-huh. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Okay.
Bill is stealing some.
Yeah. Right.
Good consistency. Soft.
And let's not forget...
Well blended.
Let's not forget, we're doing this to save the avocados.
Of course.
Okay, let's not lose sight of all that.
We are contributing to the avocado shortage.
All right, so we've all had the first sample.
You have it. Oh, that's right, because you can't.
I can't. I remain impartial in there.
Okay, good.
All right, so on to bowl number 2. Get a fresh chip. Make sure there's no residual guacamole on your chip. You want a clean chip.
Cleanse your palate.
Right.
Cleanse your palate with some beer. Or
all judges ready? All
vodka.
Judges ready to go?
All judges ready? Sip ready?
All right, here we go.
All right, here we go. Guacamole number 2. Bowl number 2.
Okay. Bowl number 2. The guacamole number 2. Here I am.
This, I would say, is more watery than the first one.
Okay. All right.
Is that good or bad?
Oh, we'll see.
We'll see when it's voting time.
We'll see.
See when it's voting time.
It has a little kick in it.
Has a little kick. You can taste the different ingredients more pronounced.
Mm-hmm.
That's made up.
No one is spitting anything out. So I think we're
yet.
No.
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, we have to get to number 3.
Gotta get to number 3. So have some beer. Cleanse the palate.
Wash it down.
Wash it down.
Yep. Okay. I think we should do this every Friday.
I'm down.
What next week? I thought.
I mean, there.
Come on. It's the Ukrainian theme.
I do want to apologize to our radio audience that, there are moments in between when there's nobody talking. It's because we're all eating or drinking. So, I mean, you understand what it's
they
like.
Can picture you
loudly.
Eating just this vat of guacamole that we have.
Yeah, and audience, there's nothing better than guacamole at 8:30 in the morning. So we're having
with beer.
With
Wait
beer.
a minute. Whoa.
I'm sorry.
We can now move on to bowl number 3. We've we've had 1 and 2.
The last
bowl number 3,
guacamole.
the final guacamole test.
Okay. All right.
Whoa! Oh my goodness, this is very, very salty. Very, very. It has a lot of. Do you feel that, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
Very salty.
Very good. Very good, though.
It's been a close race.
Very spicy. Yeah.
Which one wins me the scarf? Which one wins me the scarf? Just point or wink. Twice for the middle. One
I think
for
it's number 3.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I must say.
Think about it.
Okay, well, I have my favorite.
You have your favorite
I have
locked
my favorite
in.
Locked in.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alicia,
do you have your favorite?
Do you have your favorite locked in, Alicia Cruz?
I'm torn between 1 and 3.
Whoa. Don't tell us yet.
Don't tell us who.
Okay.
Cyprian, do you have your vote ready? Are you ready to vote?
Yes, I'm ready to vote, Mr. Albert.
All right. Let the voting begin. Go ahead.
Let the voting begin.
All right. Cyprian, you go first. Tell us who you think. 1, 2, or 3.
I'm going to say number 1.
Number 1.
Wow.
Number 1 vote for number 1.
Okay.
Alicia Cruz.
She's going for the second round to just finalize things here. Brief moment.
You don't want to get this wrong. Which one?
3.
Number 3.
Oh.
Number 3.
Okay.
We go with number 3. All right.
Igor.
Now we're either going to have a winner or we're going to have a 3-way tie.
Right.
The pressure.
No pressure.
Oh my goodness.
If you go with 2, then we are all equally equal on the guacamole front. But if you go 1
Peter,
or 2,
I left Russia for that. Okay, to all be equal. All right, I don't believe in that. So I'm not. Just tell you off the bat, it's not number 2.
It's not number 2. It's going to be number 1.
You know, they were all delicious. They were all good.
Uh-huh.
But according to my taste buds,
Yes.
which I've been purifying for the last several hours,
Yes, you want to have a clean palate.
the winner of the guacamole challenge is number 1.
Number 1 is
the winner.
Okay,
So-
and number 1, Peter, is...
Congratulations to Carol Press with the winning guacamole recipe. Nice job, Carol. Carol, queen of the guacamole.
Wow.
Elisa made number 2, which was watery and no one voted for.
It had tomatoes in it, and that was made in like 2-minute intervals.
I like
Thank
the
you.
tomatoes in
Yeah,
it,
the
and I
tomatoes were
like
good,
the
yeah, I liked all of them.
I like the big chunks of avocado in it too.
And I made 3, which I know was salty, which was too salty, which I realized after the fact I might have put a little too much into my rush to get it done.
1 and 3 were very close, but I'm glad I chose number 1.
That's right.
Job
Always
security.
go with the boss.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a little secret?
That's what I was about to
no.
ask. What's the secret to winning?
Is I knew when I tasted number 1 that it was Carol's guacamole because I had it so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would have voted for number 1 too.
I saw you winking.
I haven't tried it
With
yet.
all
I'm
due
not-
respect,
Good stuff.
here, too.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
It was very, very
So to
good.
Carol.
Here's to Carol.
Cheers,
All right.
Carol.
Cheers.
Nice job.
All right. So if you want any guacamole to order to take out, or you can order it by mail.
Get a scarf
Scarf
and some
and
guacamole.
Go to our website,
Expand the
BillPressShow.com, and go to check on the Carol Press scarves. And with each scarf, you'll get
That's right.
a bowl of
Smells very
guacamole.
well.
Perfect. Igor, thank you for helping us out here.
Thank you.
All right. Love to
Delicious.
see you. Here we go. We'll be right back with something.
This is the Bill Press Show. parting shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
We didn't get to the jobs numbers that just came out for the month of February. Actually, the economists were predicting 150,000 jobs in February. It actually ticked up better than that and reported 175,000 new private sector jobs in February. And the unemployment rate ticked up a little bit to 6.7%. That's the news for February. That's it for this week, folks. Go out and have a great weekend. Come back and see us again Monday morning.
This
have a good one.
is the Bill Press Show.